Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable the examiners, my name is Lisanti Octariantika. In this opportunity, I will present my research thesis. And the title of the research thesis is the correlation between students' attitude in learning English and their speaking ability at the 11th grade of Senior High School 1 Ukui. In this research thesis, researcher have two variables. The first variable is students' attitude and the second is speaking ability. Speaking is a process that delivers meaning by using oral communication. Brown 2001, page 267, said speaking is an interactive process of constructing meaning that involves producing, receiving, and processing information. It means speaking is a tool to communicate with other people. And Maxim 2009 said speaking becomes the important part in using language. It means without speaking was impossible to have true mastery in language because speaking is a process deliver the result of overthinking by using oral communication in social interaction. In speaking, there are 5 aspects to master, namely vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, fluency, and comprehension. That work to make it clear and was not to make a misunderstanding. Okay, the researcher conducted this research in Senior High School 1 Ukui. This school use K13 curriculum in learning process that implements student center. It means students should be active, creative, and must be able to produce oral and written text fluently and accurately. And the school has a minimum criteria achievement is 75 for English. Okay, Azen 1991 said attitude is the individual's belief. And Vaughan and Hogg 2005 said attitude is a relatively enduring organization of belief, feeling, and behavioral tendencies toward socially significant objects, groups, events, or symbols. And thus, attitude is a response to give from someone about something, and there is stimulus. And in attitudes, there are 3 aspects. The first is cognitive, the second is affective, the third is behavioral. Result et al. 2018 said a lot of factors can build the success of students' ability in learning foreign language, especially in English. One of them is students' language learning attitude that can make students eager in learning English or not. But during pre-observation in this school and also done some interview to the teacher of the subject, there are some factors of the subject. There are some factors in speaking, in learning English, especially in speaking. The first is students still ask the meaning of the word in English. And the second is students pronounce the word in Indonesian. The third is students lack of the vocabulary. And the last is students feel afraid and worried to got wrong meaning when they speak up. Aziz Ifar 2014 said a successful learning is one who possesses positive attitude toward the target language. They will more eager to learn English if they have positive attitude. And Tambunan et al. 2014 also state The students who held a positive attitude in speaking English reported significantly higher frequency and wider variety of strategy used than those who held negative attitude. However, from the problem, from the factors above, from the factor in the background of the study, the researcher assumed the student still has the problem in learning English, especially in speaking. Okay, next, identification of the problem. In this research, researcher has some identification of the problem. That is, there are what is attitude in learning English? How does attitude in learning English affect speaking ability? What the factors influence students' attitude when the students learning English? What aspects that conclude of attitude in learning English? Why the students have difficulties in speaking English, and how much is the correlation between students' attitude in speaking ability? Next is limitation of the problem. In this research, researcher focus on student attitude in learning English and speaking ability, and the population of the research was the 11th science grade students. Okay, next, formulation of the problem. In this research, researcher have 3 research questions. The first is, how is students' attitude in learning English at the 11th grade of senior high school 1 Ukui? Second is, how is the students' speaking ability at the 11th grade of senior high school 1 Ukui? And the third is there any correlation between their attitude in learning English and their speaking ability? Okay, next, in this research, researcher have 2 variables, and the indicator of the attitude variable is cognitive aspects, affective aspects, and behavior aspect. And for indicator speaking ability, there are produce except pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. And the assumption and hypothesis of this research, the assumption is the better of students' attitude in learning English, the better of their speaking ability, and the lower of students' attitude in learning English, the lower of their speaking ability. And for hypothesis, for alternative hypothesis is there is a significant correlation between students' attitude in learning English and their speaking ability at the 11th grade of senior high school 1 Ukui. And for null hypothesis, there is no significant correlation between students' attitude in learning English and their speaking ability at the 11th grade of senior high school 1 Ukui. Okay, next, method of the research. In this research, researcher use quantitative research, and the types of the research is correlational research. It means this research to determine a relationship between 2 or more variables. But in this research, researcher just have 2 variables. The first variable is students' attitude in learning English as independent variable, and speaking ability as dependent variable. And time and location of the research. The time to conduct the research, the time of this research is September until November 2020, and location of this research is at senior high school 1 Ukui. And subject of this research is students' attitude in learning English and their speaking ability. And for object of this research is Science 1 until 3 of 11th grade of Senior High School 1 Ukui. And population of this research, the researcher have 80 students, but when researcher took the data from the students, just 55 submit the data and 25 didn't submit the data. And the sample of this research is by using simple random sampling by referring to Krejci and Morgan's table 1970. And the sample of this research is 48 students. And for technique for collecting the data, there are two techniques. The first is questionnaire and the second is test. The questionnaire for students' attitude in learning English and the test for speaking ability. In questionnaire, researcher use questionnaire by Orphan 2020. He designed the questionnaire by adapting attitude motivation test battery, which was designed by Gardner 1985. He also developed the questionnaire items by adapting the attitude questionnaire test used by Bunstrangsri et al. 2004 and Abidin et al. 2012. And the questionnaire consists 30 statements. And for test, speaking test that developed by a researcher based on K13 English textbook by Nur Hasana and Basir 2017, and the test consists of the instruction. And for technique of data analysis, the researcher use person product moment by using SPSS 21.0. And the finding of the research for students' attitude in learning English at the 11th grade of Senior High School 1 Ukui, the main score was 73.90 and 42. It means that the category of the students' attitude in learning English is good. And for students' speaking ability at the 11th grade of Senior High School 1 Ukui, the main score was 74.79 and 17. It means that the category of their speaking ability is good. And for finding of the correlation between students' attitude in learning English and their speaking ability, from the table in the slide, the variable of correlation coefficient of the students' attitude in learning English and their speaking ability is 0.071, and the significant is 0.633. It means if R count more than 0.05, alternative hypothesis was rejected and null hypothesis was accepted. So it could be concluded that there was no significant correlation between students' attitude in learning English and their speaking ability at the 11th grade of Senior High School 1 Ukui. Okay, thank you for the time and I'm so sorry for my mistake. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.